All right, it is week number 11 of reading Raymond Chandler's Red Wind every week of the year of 2026, and we've made it at last. Week number 11. Pretty good run. Pretty good. I will say it. My opinion, all the story has not changed. It's still a good story. I mean, it's always going to be a good story, regardless of my personal opinions of it. But my personal opinion has not changed. That said, this is the first week that getting into this has felt like homework. I wasn't hesitant to start it. It's like, okay, I'm going to get into it. I'm going to get over with for the day and move on. But then just getting into it, it's in the story is in 7 chapters, more or less. By the end of chapter 2, I was like, oh, okay, what can I do to speed this up? Like, let's move this on a little bit. Which may just be the results of the week, on my person. It's been sort of a dragging sort of a week. It seems like all kinds of different things going on. It may just be that aspect carrying over into this reading of the book. Next week I might be perfectly fine and everything's peppy and good, and I'm just dying to get into it. Enjoying every minute of it. I'll say this is, out of the 11 weeks, this is the first time it's ever felt like a drag. It's ever felt like homework, trying to get through it. There was one week there where some stuff was going on, and it took me a little bit to actually just pick up the book and start reading Red Wind that week. I think it was like week number 6 or 7 or something like that. But then once I actually got into the story, everything was perfectly fine. But yeah, this is the first time where I was perfectly willing to get into the story, but once I was actually inside, it just kind of felt slow. But 41 weeks ahead of me. Let's hope there's not too many like that. So that's for Red One. I meant to keep reading this biography of Raymond Chandler by Tom Heine, but since the last time, I haven't been able to get into it anymore. But I am going to keep reading this right along, and if I have anything to say about it, I'll bring it up, because I'm just looking for anything and everything to talk about. One thing to bring up, though. So in the story, the murder weapon that's used to kill Joseph Choates, aka Waldo, by the man Al Tessalor, the gun he uses is described as a 22 long rifle target pistol, which I happen to have one of them right here. Now, the story Red Wind was written in 1938. This particular model of pistol was not patented until 1940 something, and then this particular pistol would have been manufactured sometime in the 80s. So it's not going to be exactly the same as maybe what Raymond Chandler had in mind, if he did have a particular pistol in mind, but it is going to be pretty close. This is a Smith & Wesson, and like I say, it's a 22 long rifle round, 6-shot cylinder. So just thought that was interesting for a little bit of show and tell, that just coincidentally I did have a pistol that matched the one used within the story. I thought that was pretty neat. Anyways, that is all I have to say about that. If you have anything you want to add, if you want to say that I'm crazy, just for all the weeks ahead of me, looking forward to more reads of Red Wind, just go ahead and tell me how insane I really am. I'm thinking about this. It's just a lot across my mind, and it's a lot of work, and I'm not sure that I'm going to do it. But I'm thinking about doing a rewrite of Red Wind. Not that I can improve it, but sort of like doing this Twilight Zone cracked mirror version of Red Wind, where, let's say, like, one of the details at the very, very beginning was different, right? Let's say something changed, and instead of Joseph Choates being killed, it was Al Tessalor that got killed in the bar. And how that changed the story? Everything else remaining the same previous to that point, right? Or different details, like there's a detail of the Uruguayan man that Frank Barcelay sends his Uruguayan hired help, his gunmen, to receive the receipts from Joseph Choate. But what if instead of sending the Uruguayan, what if he'd send the Russian woman into the apartment? Like how would that make everything different? And I think there's potential aspects for going down those roads in rewriting Red Wind with just not minor details but subtle details changed, and how that would butterfly effect throughout the rest of the story. So that's on my mind. I think that's an interesting idea, but the point that's a lot of work, you know, to try and think through how the plot would change with all those details altered. But also in my mind, like it would only be worthwhile if I were trying to emulate a little bit the writing style of Raymond Chandler. Not that I would do it perfectly. It would end up being a mesh between my writing style and the writing style of Raymond Chandler, or mostly just me. I'm like, man, that hits me, and yeah, that'd be pretty cool to at least do one, if not multiple, because there's just a bunch of different ways this could branch out. Because like for instance, after the merge happened and the police detectives show up at the bar to interview all the witnesses, it's the police detective Kopernik that interviews John Dalmas, and then it's the detective Ibarra who interviews the owner of the bar, the Lou Petrol character. And it's like, what if that was switched? What if it was Ibarra that interviewed John Dalmas, because those two seem to instinctually like each other, at least have some sort of respect for each other. So how that changed things in the scene later when John Dalmas, in the original story, when John Dalmas is lying to Kopernik, if he instead John Dalmas calls up Ibarra because that's the contact he's made from previous in the story, is John Dalmas going to lie to Ibarra? And if he doesn't, how does that change? If he does, how does that affect things later when there's this confrontation between the detectives and John Dalmas in his apartment? And just little bit of things, like for everybody else, like, yeah, whatever, who cares? Who cares if it's different or what? But for me, like, yeah, like, you can do this whole bit where you go over here and you do this, and the next character, and these two, they team up, and then John Dalmas has to solve this other problem. Anyway, it just puts the gears spinning. But going back to what I said, that's all I got to say about that. So I'll talk to you next time.